Alrighty, folks, it's time to figure out what is going on in the housing market. Let me catch you up. Yesterday, 30-year mortgage has once again gone over 7%. In much of the country, we have already completed or are about to complete the spring selling season. We are seeing inventory up nearly everywhere. I have been calling a buyer's market in most of the country, which seems to be growing. But you know what? Let's figure out what's going on the ground with Beth Traverso, King County, Seattle. What's going on, Beth?
Yes. Hey, good to see you. Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting here in the Seattle area. Our spring market would normally be wrapping up around now anyway, because the switch usually flips between Easter and Mother's Day, somewhere in one of those weekends there. We start to see the posts in the groups of the agents like, how was your activity over the weekend? Where all the buyers go? And why aren't there multiple offers? And to some extent, people forget that it literally happens like this every single year. And it feels like it's the worst thing. It's different this time every single year, and the circumstances are going to be different every year, but the seasonality remains remarkably consistent. So that said, we are past our peak spring selling season. It happened really earlier than usual this year. It never really got going because of the whole tariff issue, stock market uncertainty that got thrown in right when we were revving up.
Yeah.
And that put the brakes on things. Buyers got confused, and a confused mind says no. So they're waiting, we're waiting, and then coming back. Last week, we talked about people coming back into the market. And then this last week, I've seen, so over the weekend, granted, it was one of the worst weather weekends we've had in a very, very long time, but still, open house activity was remarkably slow, even for what I was expecting. So,
wow.
That said, the buyers that are coming out are writing offers. So even if there might be 2 buyers through an open house, there's a good chance one of them might be writing an offer. So
yeah, it's really that. It's really, this is going to be a weird year. And as you know, and I've said many times, this is going to be the worst year for transactions of this 4-year cycle. And that call still feels pretty accurate to me at this point, given the dud of the spring selling season. But I think a couple of things I just want to remind people of, and again, it's so simple, but we often forget. As a buyer, specifically an investor, we want less competition, we want more supply, and we want more motivated sellers. So I'm guessing what is happening in every market, even crazy markets like Seattle and King County, with inventory stacking up, there are going to be some folks that will start responding to disrespectful offers, where maybe a year ago they'd be like, we'll wait. Now, as days on markets grow, as competition for selling grows, right, more listings, we're excited about what's to come as competition goes down and supply goes up.
Right. And that's what we are seeing. And so a lot of when I'm talking to sellers and we're preparing to put their house on the market, it seems like the majority of them are pretty realistic about what's going on in the market. It doesn't seem like there's much surprise out there. It feels like people are aware of the situation and ready to react accordingly. So meaning like not list at aggressively high prices, be realistic about what to expect as far as offers and time on market, et cetera. There's going to be some outliers, of course, but the vast majority are pretty well aware of the situation. So they know that we're not in that market where we can expect bidding wars, et cetera. Although it does happen sometimes, and I have had it on my listings recently, but we have to be careful not to set the expectation for that. And for buyers, I think it is a really good chance for them to take advantage of some more inventory on the market, some more leverage they have. I am still seeing it mostly in the mid and high tiers where there's the inventory piling up in certain areas, not the low end. Low end is still flying off the shelf. However, I've seen a few. So for example, I saw a couple recently where buyer's inspection didn't work out for whatever reason, house back on market with a price drop. That's something where I would say, here's an opportunity for somebody, because that person, it's a seller's in a different place mentally after that goes on.
Oh, for sure.
You can come in and offer them something that works for you that maybe you wouldn't have been able to get a few weeks ago. So
Yeah,
I'm putting that out there. So it's important to be aware of the dynamics between each listing. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I'm glad you brought that up, because the next thing I want to talk about is the market. And right now I kind of see the market in 3 tiers. And again, I think this tiers play in every market, just different price points. So there's the median and below. So for your market, rough and tough's $1 million and below. That's the entry level first time home buyer. That's still pretty scarce, still pretty competitive. Then there's the median times 2. And then there's the median times 2 and above. And what I've seen in most markets is the luxury stuff stack up first. Like Orange County, I think Adrian told me the other day, like days on market average is 300 plus.
Wow.
In that kind of super luxury. Mm-hmm. And then there's the next tier, which might be days on market of 75. Mm-hmm. And then there's that entry level stuff, 31, right? Mm-hmm. And, I would tell people in your markets, track that, right? Everybody's median is different, but you can use those ratios, median and below, median times 2, and then, times 2 plus, and just see what's going on, because I think a lot of people are getting confused. They're saying things like inventory's up 35%.
Yeah.
But is it really up 35% in the stuff that you want? Or is it just a bunch of second homeowners, wanting to sell something that's luxury to them that they don't want anymore? Because being up 30% means nothing if you don't have that entry level inventory.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point, because if you look at the overall, like King County was up this much, or whatever, you got to look at, well, you need to look at your buy box, and you need, like we always say, and then it's important to differentiate between those tiers, because right now I'm seeing in my little neck of the woods that upper tier is clearly oversaturated, where I could see those could have 300 days. They don't right now because they all just came out, but all of them at the same. It's interesting how they all came out around the same-ish time. And I haven't seen any of them go pending in the last couple of months. So it'll be interesting to see. And if you were a buyer in that price tier, why would you not take your time and wait and see who does a price drop or who's most motivated? It makes sense to do that.
Yeah, this is what I want people to realize. If you're lucky enough to be shopping for what I'll call ultra luxury properties, you define whatever that is, and you started to see all that inventory build. I mean, I'm a cheap son of a gun, right? Let's just say they're all listed at 2.5 million, 2.5 to 3 million. I'd find the 3 or 4 or 5 that I could live with, and I'd write a 1.7, 1.8 offer and see who responds. Because again, these people with these big homes, sometimes they have other financial liquidity and they just want out. Some people have decided they're going to sell here and move to Texas. I want to find that motivated seller. And if a motivated seller wants to hand me $500,000, I'm going to pick it up.
Yeah. And one of them ultimately will, probably. A lot of them, it seems to me the common story is they're folks who built a house somewhere else. They have more than one house. Mm-hmm. And maybe they can do that for a while, keep the 2 houses, but at some point they're going to get tired of it or want to redeploy, even if they don't need the capital. Wealthy people are pretty smart with their money, usually is how they got to be that way. So they're going to want to maybe use those funds to invest in something else. As soon as some other investment or life motivation becomes greater, then that's when the time will come for them to say, all right, we're going to get realistic about whatever it takes to sell. And they also, if they see, okay, there's 5 houses for sale in our area, our community, our area at 3.5 million, all of them right around 3.5 million. Yeah. Somebody's going to drop to 2,995, for example, and that will be the one that sells. And then that lowers the threshold for all of the rest of them. Not that that's necessarily going to happen, but it might.
No, yeah, it's just an example. Yeah.
Or they'll just wait it out, and who knows? But usually waiting does not get you more money is usually not how that works.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Again, folks, I think it's pretty clear we're in a buyer's market. The spring selling season is going to go down as a dud. Where I find myself now is in the parts of the country that don't really have a hard winter, right? Right. If you have a hard winter, this probably doesn't apply to you. But if you have decent weather in the winter, I am wondering if we're just going to have a surprising, I don't know, call it fall market. Typically into the second half of the year, it's just, it just is what it is. But I wonder if there's been such a drag because of all this uncertainty. If the economy turns and if things start to look positive, I wonder if the fall market's going to surprise us this year.
That's a great point that I'm really glad you brought up. I was wondering that because the time that we have the second bump in our seasonality is after the kids are back in school and life settles down post summer. Because in the Pacific Northwest, the summer is what we live for. It's like this is the beautiful time to get outside and travel, and everybody's traveling and doing fun stuff, not thinking about buying a house typically. But then in the fall, everyone reacclimates and gets down to business. And those are the ones that want to buy and move in before the end of the school year. And I know for a fact that there are a lot of buyers out there that, for whatever reason, didn't pull the trigger this spring. And that desire to move is still there. And especially if things start to trend in a positive direction for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And if inventory starts to dwindle down, we don't see the listings coming on. The few ones that were out there might take a little longer to sell, maybe even sell for a little less, but they do sell eventually, and not much is coming on to take its place. And then we get a little bit of a bump in the fall. I mean, we saw it last year, and last year was not the best year for real estate transactions, was it? Right. So, but we did still see that. So I think there's a good chance that may happen this year where the demand got pushed out.
Well, it's going to be interesting. But the good news is we talk each and every week. Folks, let us know what's going on in your market. What's going on below the median, above the median, and then the luxury stuff. I'd love to hear from you, see what's going on across the country. If you need a referral to a top 1% agent across the country, Beth, what do they do?
Yeah, so best way to reach me is to reach out through BethTraversoGroup.com. There's a contact me form on there, or you can Google me and find me. I'm in school as well, so feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great week.
Thank you. You too.